Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Underdeveloped, and we have yet another review here for you. This is for the new Angelina Jolie movie, Those Who Want Me Dead. It's now available on HBO Max and in theaters, and we're here to talk about it with you. Those Who Wish Me Dead is directed by Taylor Sheridan, who we know as the guy who made not only Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, but also the two Sicario films and a whole bunch of other crap. And he also wrote part of this script, but he wrote it with two other people, Charles Leavitt, with Michael Corita, which is also the writer of the book this movie is based on. Now, of course, the reason why anybody knows this movie exists, Angelina Jolie is the star. Along with her, we have a lot of other famous actors like Nicholas Hoult, Aidan Gillen,
Jake Weber, Little, Tom Bernthal, Medina Senghor, of course, Tyler Perry. Angelina Jolie's character is Hannah Faber, who was a smoke jumper, who's suffering from a form of PTSD since witnessing the death of three young kids who's camping in the forest along with her fellow smoke jumper companion, whatever.
in the forest fire.
And she witnessed their death in the forest fire and not being able to save them. She blames herself and she has the guilt and she has post-traumatic stress because of it. And in the meanwhile, the Blackwells, two hitmen, go to this dude's house and with his family and blows the shit up. But they pretend to be one guy, I think from the FBI, another one is a construction dude or some shit like that. And they basically pose these people and they enter the house and they blow that shit up. And then we turn and then we go into Jake Weber's character, who plays his forensic accountant, who's on the run with his son because that dude was his boss. So now he figured that there's not so much time until they after him. This guy basically knows too much since he's a accountant. He found a lot of shit with this mob boss played by Tyler Perry, and so he's on a run until the Blackwells catch up with his ass, and they homie his ass, shoot him into the forest. His car crashes into the forest. But his kid gets away, and before the father dies, he gives the kid this flash drive, all the shit that he needs on it to bring to the news. And this kid gets lost in the forest, and he finally meets Angelina Jolie's character. Angelina Jolie takes him in and protects him, and she kind of views it as an opportunity to kind of like redeem herself in some way, low key. Mm-hmm. And in the meanwhile, the Blackwells find Johnny Bertho, who happens to be the father-in-law to Jake Weber's character, the forensic accountant. I mean, not father-in-law, the brother-in-law. And they basically go to his house, posing as agents. But then the wife is there, and so they interrogate the wife, and the wife kicks their ass and dips. So they basically find Johnny Bertho's character, Sheriff Sawyer, and they take the sheriff, and they use him to track down the kids in the forest, which then leads them to Jolie, and that leads to a big gunfight to the death. So basically, one is killed by Jolie, which is Nicholas Holt's character. She kind of axes him. And he burns in the forest fire. She leaves him to burn. And the other one is killed by the sheriff's wife, Bernthal's wife, Medina, with a gun. And yeah, and that pretty much. And then the kid, they basically survived the forest fire, all of them, which is ridiculous. And they happily ever after. She basically vowed to keep the kid safe and forgot the kid's next move together. And he gets the drive to the news, and that gets out, but we never know what it is. And they fly from helicopters and happy well after. Yeah. And that's the movie.
Yeah, big old Hollywood ending. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah. So, Nick, let's get into why this movie is good or bad.
Honestly, I feel like more people should have died. The fact that, the dad dies kind of early on, and the two antagonists die, but I feel like someone more other than that should have died also, just to raise the stakes a bit. The whole thing just felt lifeless. As everything, it just felt too safe in general. If anything, that's just a bigger part of the whole movie, where it's just absolute. That whole ending sequence is just bullshit, because that's a forest fire. Forest fires don't just go out overnight like they do in this movie. Really, every character should be dead, realistically speaking, because forest fires last forever. A lot of them take weeks to go out. It's not uncommon for that to happen. So for this to go out overnight like that, it just feels weak. It just feels it feels like a Hollywood ending that's just been unearned. You know. When you have an ending like that you needed to feel earned, or else it's just going to feel flat. And that's exactly what this movie does. It just feels flat. And here we have our antagonists like Nicholas Hoult and Aidan Gillen, both of which are very good actors. They're both all known for their giving great performances time after time. But here, like, they feel like they're just weak antagonists because it feels like they have nothing to do. Like, not even that they have nothing to do, it feels like they have nothing important to say. Like, their dialogue is just kind of bland.
Nicholas Hoult isn't that, like, he's all right. I'm
He's
pretty
a
sure
good actor.
Aiden's a better. But you only see him in one thing, really, which is The Great. I've seen him in many other stuff. He's all right.
I mean, he's been in a ton of stuff. Like he's even led in some other stuff. I just went through his Wikipedia.
But I know, what I just said that you haven't seen him in the. I've seen him in other stuff. I've seen him in a bunch of different movies. I've seen the movie that he did with Kristen Stewart. I've seen the X-Men stuff. He was all right. The best thing I've seen him in was The Great. That's when he shows any semblance of like a fun personality. Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't consider him a great actor. Aidan Gillen you may have a thing with him. So this is not a big surprise to me with him. Like, he's all right, but he's not great. You know what I mean? The great is probably the best thing I've seen him do.
Yeah, but I feel like both these actors like are way better than these roles though. Like,
he's done one better role
because these roles have nothing for them. Like they had nothing to work with here in this script. Like they're both. They both delivered great performances before, and I think they can both do it again. I think them together as a team could work great as an antagonist duo, but this just isn't the script for it to happen. Like, the characters don't have enough personality for them to really shine.
I think the kid and Jolie has chemistry almost like a mother-son. I think it was good seeing them on the screen, even though Jolie looks a little too picturesque to be some like a ranger. I feel she looks like a model type.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Like,
she looks way too much like a famous person to play a normal human being. Yeah, I feel like I can see her as being anything like famous. She could play a model. She can play an actress. She maybe even play like a politician, even though that's a bit of a stretch. But like anybody with fame who would be in front of the camera a lot, that's the kind of role I can see someone looking like Angela Jolie doing. This kind of role, it just feels very weird for her. It feels like she's out of place.
It's just like way too cheekbones.
I think she's miscast. Not that she's a bad actress, but she's just miscast here. Like I just can't see her as this character.
Yeah, like she does have a little bit of edginess to her, which I like. You know what I mean? She does have the edge in the way she dresses and carries herself, but that face is just too distracting for me.
Yeah, it is. It's very distracting. Like it's very clear.
Makeup on her to highlight her attributes. It just it's too movie star like.
Yeah, exactly.
To draw me into it.
Like, this doesn't feel like a movie star kind of character. So the fact that you have a movie star kind of actress playing her, it just feels it doesn't mesh well. You know?
Yeah, and aspects of like her character still to me wasn't really delved into enough because that PTSD didn't really. It wasn't like it was a presence in the film, but it wasn't a constant presence.
Yeah, I feel like it was barely there. I feel like that the bare minimum of the
like she had one conversation at her post, and that was and a couple of flashbacks in the beginning, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, like we go for a pretty lengthy period of time without any callback to it before it comes up again at the end.
I get the reason why it was because having that in because the kid, you know, what I mean, her saving the kid in the forest fire and not leaving the kid. Like how Nicholas Hoult was taunting her, saying that, it's not worth dying for the kid. So I know that part of the movie for her character was set up so she could do that. You know what I mean? But that's the case, it would have been more powerful for her to just die. You know what I mean? Saving the kid, like risking her life. You know what I mean? Like,
actually,
you know what I mean? Because I guess it's like a redemption thing. She wants to redeem herself because she thinks she failed those kids, and she felt that she went out like a coward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to me, it's like that. And it couldn't be explored too much because a lot of the movie wasn't even on her. A lot of the movie was on these two killers trying to find the fucking kid. But what makes that frustrating is that I don't know why they're even hunting the kids. I just know that the ass is on the line. You know what I mean? And I guess that's enough though, but it would be interesting to know why. You know what I mean? Like, it already stakes up for me.
Yeah, that's a whole big fault in this entire story, is that we don't know what information the guy actually has on them.
Because that would raise the stakes for me. Like, okay, this is why this is so vital. It will humanize these characters, and it'll give more it'll make the plot more heavy. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a
well,
plot device and just used to just carry the plot along.
Yeah, if it's just like some information, like it's just so nebulous. Like it just feels it doesn't make it by having it like that nondescript. It makes it I feel like an actual thing. It just makes it feel like a plot device.
Absolutely.
And if we're aware the plot device is a plot device, and we're not going to have that same emotional connection to it, the same way we would if we were just invested in it as being a thing.
Yeah, a generally talented cast with no real like body really have any noteworthy performances. It's like black.
That's exactly what it is. It's like you have yeah, exactly. You have the building pieces of good movie right here, but you don't have the soul. You don't have like the things
like you
that
have the guy who wrote the book. You have two decent writers who wrote good movies before, and then I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like But also, Taylor Sheridan is a writer. He's obviously not a director. He's a writer and actor.
Yeah, because this is the first directing. This is the first directing credit I've been able to find for him. Yeah, so, this might be new territory.
And it comes up like he's the first time director. The script isn't that bad, but the directing to me is not that great. That's the problem. It's really in the directing more even than the writing. The writing has its problem, but what really hits for me is the directing. Because if it had those good performances, those compelling performances,
it would be able to. Yeah, it would be able to save this movie.
It would save the movie, but it didn't. So this movie's like it's not terrible. Like so let's get to the scores. The score for this movie for me will be like 2.7, 2.8. I mean,
I think that's a little too high for me. I'm thinking more like 2.2, 2.3. I'm more about like this is like it's not an awful movie by any means, but like it's bland to the point where I just don't.
2.2 is bad.
3,000 years later.
That being said, I think we've said our statement on this. I think we've been through enough of this. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hopefully, hopefully you'll agree or disagree with us. Whether you do, just write in the comments. Feel free to write those comments. Feel free to Feel free to hit that like button. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree. Follow us for more content and hit that notification bell to get everything as soon as it comes out. And we'll see you all next time.
Are you talking to me? There's no one else here. You must be talking to me. Well, that was an antique. Crap!